You have been doing this wrong for years, and the worst part is nobody told you until today. Every autumn, millions of gardeners repeat the same ritual. They rake, they pile, they wait. And in spring they find exactly what they left in November. A heap of wet, stinking, completely useless leaves. But there is a specific moment, an afternoon in April with a shovel in your hand, where everything changes. A moment where you realize that you did not fail. The method failed. And that method has a name, has a cause, and has a solution so simple that it will make you angry you did not know it sooner. Stay until the end, because what I am going to show you today will forever transform the way you see your yard. If you are interested in real gardening, the kind that produces results without depending on buying anything from any store, subscribe right now. This channel is for you. Let us start at the beginning. Imagine it is 10 in the morning on a Saturday in November. You pull out the rake, spend 3 hours gathering every fallen leaf into a corner, pile them until the mound reaches your waist. You feel good. You look at that mountain of organic matter and think, by spring, this is going to be free black soil. You let the rain soak it. You let the snow crush it. You trust the process. April arrives. The ground thaws. You go out with a shovel full of hope. You peel back the top layer, that dry, grayish crust, and what you find underneath stops you cold. Wet leaves. Leaves that have not decomposed. Leaves that have simply compressed against each other like layers of wet cardboard that peel apart in sheets. It smells sour. It smells like stagnant moisture. It is cold. It is heavy. And it is absolutely useless. That is when most people give up. They bag everything and put it on the curb for the trash truck. And they wonder, what did I do wrong? Nothing. You did nothing wrong. What you built was not a composting system. You built a preservation system. And now I am going to explain exactly why. When you pile whole leaves and saturate them with cold rain, you eliminate all the air from the interior. You create a cold, oxygen-free, completely anaerobic environment. And in that environment, biology stops dead. The bacteria that produce decomposition, the ones that generate heat and consume organic matter, cannot survive without air. So the leaves do not rot. They are preserved. They exist in a state of suspended animation. They are not compost. They are a relic. This has a name, the static pile method. It is the most common advice given to homeowners, and it is by far the least effective way to generate fertile soil. But there is something nobody explains to you. To turn those leaves into soil in weeks, not years, you have to stop treating the pile like a trash bin and start treating it like what it can actually be, a biological engine. An engine does not start just because you put fuel in the tank. The leaves are the fuel. But an engine needs a spark. Right now your pile has fuel and no fire. Want to know what the spark is? Keep watching, because this is where it gets interesting. If this is already changing the way you think about your yard, hit the subscribe button right now. When a tree prepares for winter, it does something very clever. It recovers all the sap, the sugars, the nutrients, and pulls them back into the roots and trunk to survive the cold. The leaf that falls to the ground is simply the empty wrapper. It is the packaging. In biological terms, that brown leaf is nearly 100% carbon. Carbon is energy. It is the building block of life. But on its own, carbon is incredibly stable. It resists change. Think of a pile of firewood on your porch. That wood is carbon, exactly like your leaves. You can stack it perfectly. You can soak it. You can wait years. Without a flame, that wood will still be there decades later. Your leaf pile works exactly the same way. It is a cold fuel reserve waiting for a match. The match in a compost pile is not fire. It is bacteria. There are billions of microorganisms in your own yard ready to devour those leaves. They want to break down that carbon and convert it into rich, dark humus. The problem is, they cannot do it feeding only on carbon. Imagine you have to build a house, but the only material available is wood. No nails, no screws, no cement. You have a mountain of energy material, but you cannot build anything because you are missing the element that holds everything together. The bacteria are in the same situation. They have a mountain of energy, the leaves, but they lack the protein they need to multiply. This is the carbon lock. When you pile leaves alone, the bacteria consume a little, run out of protein, and die or go dormant. The population collapses, the heat stops, the pile goes cold. Many people try to solve this by turning the pile more often. They think mixing is the solution, but stirring a pot with empty ingredients does not make a meal. You cannot mechanically force a biological reaction if the chemistry is not there. You do not need to work harder, you need to break the lock. And here is the key that changes everything. If carbon is the log, nitrogen is the fire. To wake up your pile, you need to bring the carbon to nitrogen ratio down from approximately 80:1, which is what you have with dry leaves alone, to around 30:1. That is the biological sweet spot. That is where the explosion happens. Now you might think, perfect. I will throw in some garden fertilizer or coffee grounds and done. But this is where most people fail again. If you throw dry nitrogen powder or coffee grounds onto a pile of loose leaves, gravity does its work. The fine particles slip between the leaves and end up at the bottom. The leaves on top remain dry and protein-free. The nitrogen is below, unused. They never meet. The reaction never starts. For the fire to ignite, the nitrogen has to envelop the carbon. It has to penetrate the surface of every leaf. We do not use dry powder. We use a liquid accelerator. This is the secret. It is a high nitrogen solution that does two things at once. It provides the moisture the leaves need and delivers protein directly to the bacteria on the surface of every leaf fragment. Here is the recipe I have been using for years. It is simple, cheap, and extremely potent. You need a standard 5-gallon bucket. If you have farm animals, use the country formula. 2 shovels of fresh chicken or rabbit manure. Dump them in the bucket and fill with water. Stir vigorously until it has the color of very strong, dark coffee. This is the gold standard. It is loaded with nitrogen and, most importantly, it is already alive with the animal's intestinal bacteria. It is a starter culture. If you do not have animals, use the urban formula. Go to any garden center and buy blood meal or granulated chicken fertilizer. These are extremely high nitrogen sources. Dissolve 2 cups of blood meal in your bucket of water. Stir until completely suspended. This liquid is your spark. It is 100% organic, extraordinarily potent, and it is the only thing that can break the carbon lock. When you pour it over shredded leaves, you are not watering them. You are marinating them in the fuel they need to burn. Drop a comment right now, telling me if you have ever had a leaf pile that refused to decompose. I guarantee you are not alone. But before lighting that match, we need to build the chimney. And this is where most people never even arrive, because nobody explains it. First, location. This matters more than any container. You do not need a perfectly constructed wooden composter or a $50 tumbler. You just need a patch of bare soil. This is non-negotiable. Your compost pile needs connection with the ground beneath it. It is an access door. When the pile heats up, organisms migrate upward from the soil to help process the material. When the pile cools or dries too much, they retreat back into the earth. If you build on concrete, you break that cycle. Find a patch of soil or grass approximately 4 feet by 4 feet. That is your stage. Now we need to talk about the leaves themselves. And this is the step that separates successful piles from useless mounds. You have to shred the leaves. I know it seems like extra work. I know you just want to rake and be done. But you need to understand the engineering of a leaf. A leaf is designed by the tree to be waterproof. It has a waxy layer on the outside. Its shape is designed to deflect water downward, like a roof tile directing rain toward the tree's roots. If you pile whole leaves, you are stacking thousands of tiny waterproof tarps. When you pour water or your liquid accelerator over whole leaves, it does not penetrate. It slides off the sides. The inside of the pile stays dry as newspaper, and the carbon remains locked. You have to destroy that architecture. Run your lawnmower over the leaves. Do it twice if needed. You want to turn those leaves into confetti. When you shred a leaf, 2 things happen. First, you destroy the waterproof structure. You turn a roof tile into a sponge. Instead of repelling liquid, the shredded edges absorb it. Second, you exponentially increase the available surface area. Imagine a block of ice. It takes a long time to melt. Now imagine that same block turned into snow. It melts instantly. By shredding the leaves, you are creating millions of irregular edges and open veins where bacteria can enter and feed. You are turning the food into microorganism-sized bites. Do not skip this step. A pile of whole leaves can take a year. A pile of shredded leaves treated correctly can disappear in a month. Hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second and it helps this video reach every gardener who has been throwing away free black gold every autumn. Now let us build the engine. Bring your shredded leaves and your bucket of liquid Accelerator to the site you have chosen. This is the moment chemistry becomes biology. Think of this like assembling a lasagna. We are going to work in layers. Start by spreading shredded leaves to a depth of about 6 inches. It will be spongy and light. That is your first fuel layer. Now take the bucket of nitrogen solution. Use a watering can or a smaller container to pour it. You do not want to dump all 5 gallons at once. Spread that dark, nutritious liquid over the leaf layer, moving side to side for even coverage. Now comes the most important step, the one the manuals always skip. You have to get your hands dirty. After pouring the liquid, plunge your hands in and mix the leaves. You are making sure every leaf fragment is coated with that nitrogen solution. If you find dry spots, add more liquid. If it feels too wet, add more dry leaves. What you are looking for is a specific texture. We call it the sponge test. Grab a handful of the mix and squeeze it with full force. If water cascades down your wrist, it is too wet. You are drowning the microorganisms. Add more dry leaves. If you open your hand and the leaves crumble and fall apart immediately, it is too dry. The bacteria will go dormant. Add more liquid. What you want is for that handful to hold its shape when you open your fingers, like a ball of dough, and for only 1 or 2 drops of water to appear between your knuckles when you squeeze. That is the perfect environment. That is the balance where air and water coexist. Once you have that first layer mixed and moistened, repeat the process. Add another 6 inches of shredded leaves. Pour the Accelerator. Mix with your hands. Check moisture. Continue until you have used all your leaves. The goal is a pile at least 3 feet wide and 3 feet tall. This size is not arbitrary. A smaller pile cannot insulate itself. The heat we are about to generate will escape faster than it can accumulate. But a pile this size has enough mass to trap heat in the core, creating a thermal feedback loop. Cover it with a loose tarp or a piece of old carpet to retain heat and protect from direct rain. But do not seal it airtight. It needs to breathe. You have set the stage. You have combined carbon, nitrogen, water, and air in the exact proportions that life requires. Now step back and let the microorganisms do their work. If you built the pile correctly, you do not have to wait months. You are going to see the reaction ignite almost immediately. This is the 18-day cycle. During the first 3 days, do absolutely nothing. Just let it sit. Inside that pile, bacteria are waking up, consuming the simple sugars and nitrogen you provided. As they eat and multiply, they generate heat. On the morning of the 3rd or 4th day, go out early while the air is still cold. Lift the tarp. You should see steam rising from the center of the pile. If you push your hand into the center, carefully, it should feel hot. Not just warm, hot, like a bath that was filled a little too high. Ideally, it is reaching 130 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That heat is the signal. It means the system is alive. It means you are killing weed seeds and pathogens. It means the carbon is melting. But by the 5th day, that heat will begin to fade. Not because the fuel ran out, but because the fire is suffocating. The bacteria have consumed all the oxygen in the center of the pile. This is your signal to act. You need to turn the pile. Grab a pitchfork and move the material from the outside of the pile, the parts that were cold and dry, to the center. Move the hot, steaming material from the center to the outside. You are turning the pile inside out. As you toss the material, you are fluffing it, introducing fresh oxygen into the mix. Water it lightly as you turn. The heat evaporates moisture, so you need to replenish it. Do the sponge test again. In the following 24 hours after turning, the temperature will spike again. Fresh oxygen acts like bellows on the fire. You will repeat this process every 2 days approximately. Turn, water, cover. Turn, water, cover. By day 10 or 12, you will notice a change. The material no longer looks like shredded leaves. It starts to become dark brown and uniform. The smell changes too. The sharp ammonia smell, or wet leaf smell, disappears, replaced by a deep, earthy aroma. It smells like a forest floor. By day 18 or 20, the pile will stop heating no matter how much you turn it. This is not failure. This is the finish line. The thermophilic bacteria have done their job. They consume the easy energy. Now the pile cools, and earthworms and fungi enter to finish the curing process. You have successfully started the engine. You have compressed a year of decomposition into 3 weeks. Now reach your hand into that finished pile. The material is cool now. It is dark, almost black. It crumbles between your fingers like chocolate cake crumbs. It holds moisture without being wet. This is what we call black gold. It is the most valuable thing you can put in your garden. When you spread this over your vegetable beds, you are not adding filler. You are inoculating your soil with life. You are returning all the solar energy the trees collected last summer back into the earth to feed next year's tomatoes, peppers, and lettuce. Every wheelbarrow of compost you produce is 10 bags of soil you do not have to buy at the garden center. It is money that stays in your pocket. But more than that, it is the peace of knowing exactly what is going into your food, your leaves, your effort, nature's process. The cycle is closed. Do not try to compost every leaf in your yard this weekend. That is how this becomes an obligation instead of a discovery. Start with one pile. Find a corner. Run the mower over a section of lawn. Mix 1 bucket of Accelerator. Commit to just that first 18-day cycle. Watch it heat up. Watch it steam on a cold morning. Turn it and observe how it changes. When you see that steam rise for the first time, when you push your hand into a pile of dead leaves and feel heat coming out of it, you will never need anyone to convince you of anything again. You will understand the power you have in your own yard. You will realize you do not need to buy fertility. You just need to unlock it. The leaves are falling. The system is waiting. It is time to light the fire. If this video changed the way you see autumn leaves, hit the like button and subscribe. We keep digging up the secrets of real gardening, the ones that have been buried too long. See you in the next one.